I like me like a rooftop bar. You know, the rooftop vibes are nice.
Yeah.
Boston's.
All right, so catch Yonas in the seaport at Envoy.
You already know. What's going on, everybody? My name is Yonas.
I'm Cameron. We're two product managers here at Parlor, which is a startup located in downtown Boston.
This is the Without a Roadmap show. It's a show for the product people who don't have all the answers. We plan to tell the stories of the product folks who get the job done but are still figuring it out.
Yeah, so with that, we plan to share our perspective as two early career PMs. We also plan to bring on other guests to share their stories so we can figure this whole thing out together. So I have a bunch of friends coming in town next weekend. My best friend from back home, and then also another BU basketball player. And with my birthday coming up in March, I always know that September and March is like a six month period. And so with that, I figured kind of talk about our 6 months at Parlor since we started right after Labor Day. So
Your half birthday,
half
your Parlor birthday.
The stars are aligning.
Nice.
Yeah. So with that, I feel like these type of time milestones are always good to kind of like think back, reflect on like what we've learned in the last 6 months, and also like what's like the best thing or the most impactful thing we've done here in our time here. So I figured that'd be a good topic to kind of speak on today.
I agree. Yeah. 6 months, a lot's happened.
A lot different things have happened.
A lot has changed, and I think that's like classic startup stuff, you know. Never a boring day. Never like one day is never the same as the last. I think, you know, especially as PMs, we're balancing, you know, a lot of different types of work. You know, I think especially for us so far, we've touched sales pretty heavily, marketing, and as well as product, and even a little bit of design.
And even that's different than like a normal like PM job. I feel like most product managers don't always touch all those different areas of a company. So I feel like that's pretty unique.
Yeah,
that we're experiencing that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the fact that obviously we're PMs at an early stage startup, but also the fact that PMs aren't heavily micromanaged at any company. So I think that's one part that's a little bit more universal, is that, like, you know, defining how valuable your time is and like where you spend your time, how to prioritize what work you do is really important, because there's oftentimes, like, you know, not too many people who are looking out for you on a day-to-day basis to see what it is exactly you've completed, how you've spent your time. So there's little micromanagement, which requires you to kind of look internally and evaluate where you're spending your time and how effective that is towards, you know, providing some value to the company goals, the business goals, product, things of the like.
Do you think that the lack of micromanaging is specific to different levels of a product person? So if you're like entry level, do you think you get micromanaged more than you would as you go up the ranks? Because I feel like at some companies you can be micromanaged more if you're like only involved with like a specific area of the product. Like he talks about all the time, like some companies, a product person is literally their job is to improve like a single page or a single like form.
Right. Yeah. So I think, like the individuals are gonna, you know, you'll be more micromanaged at the earlier stages of your career, for sure. And, you know, I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody who's exclusively worked in startups. So, you know, feel free to jump in with your, you know, enterprise level experience. That's what you're here for. But, you know, I think in general, from folks who I've spoken with, there's, you know, very little micromanagement. And even when you are, you know, focused on just one small piece of an entire product, you are the owner of that. And so
a lot goes into it.
You're more micromanaging people, more so, you know, maybe not managing, but, you know, just kind of working to align people around a specific goal. So it's your job to kind of be doing things on a day-to-day basis that are kind of like, you know, bringing everybody around some specific goal.
So what's the hardest thing you've had to face with the lack of micromanagement?
So I think kind of evaluating your own personal impact and, you know, how to prioritize the time that you spend each day, especially since, you know, what you need to do is going to vary so much. It has for us, and there being very few ways to really evaluate the quality of your work aside from, you know, taking the time to, like, you know, meet one-on-one with, you know, people who you're working with or your managers. So I've had trouble figuring out like where it is I'm most impactful, and like, you know, aside from what do I need to improve on, but like what should I be spending more time on? Like how do I prioritize across the different, you know, priorities that I do have? So it's like, how do you define the impact that we provide to the company? So that's something that, you know, I still am dealing with. I don't know if that's something you've seen.
Oh, but, yeah, like especially when you're doing some things that you feel like should go quicker. So like say you're reviewing something, or like you're writing a user story, like, and you spend a lot of time on it because you're having trouble just understanding it, and you don't ask questions right away. Like sometimes, or like if you're writing a blog in our example, sometimes you feel like you're spending too much time on doing that one thing when you know there's dozens of other things that you could be working on.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, so it could be a blog. For me, I know I spent an entire day working on some user stories and acceptance criteria around a feature set that we had planned that was, you know, supposed to be worked on, you know, relatively soon. Only to find out that the work that I was actually writing up was something that had, you know, a number of different prerequisites, things that needed to be handled before. So here I am really emphasizing getting this work out and pushing other things alongside, you know, that, you know, seemed less important. And, you know, highly prioritizing this, you know, only to find out that the work that I did was just going to sit there for, you know, another 3 weeks, 4 weeks before it actually was relevant. Before anybody even looked at it. So it's like, okay, like now, what was the work that I deprioritized in order to do this? And, you know, like, how do I try and like avoid these sorts of issues in the future where, you know, I basically just think I need to do a better job of evaluating like priority, and then, you know, also kind of in hand with that, understanding like what's going to drive the most impact, and, you know, using those two to kind of map out my days or my week's work, you know?
I think also probably just understanding like how things can shift so quickly here, especially at a startup, or if your company moves fast in general, like just knowing that you have to kind of realize when you're writing something like that, that there's other things that are involved sometimes, and when you're speccing out a feature, like that you don't realize right away when you're doing the work.
Right.
Because you're just so focused on understanding how things work, how it should work, how to hand it off, that sometimes you lose sight of, oh, like actually all these other things need to be built for this actually to work properly.
Exactly. Yeah. So interestingly enough, you know, looking back at a lot of the work that I've been doing lately, the work that hasn't been the most impactful, at least, you know, from how it seems in my perspective, is a lot of the product work that I've been doing. You know, so it's like, as a product manager, you come in, I think you have this, you know, grand idea of like having a huge impact on the vision of the product, and, you know, leading like really like key key work that's going to change the, you know, the product vision. And obviously that's a large part of what we're here for. But I think even especially at this early stage, I've been surprised to see that, you know, a lot of the sales related work that I've been doing has probably had the most demonstrable impact towards our company goals. And that's, you know, definitely not something that I came in with experience of, and it's not something that I expected in the role. So in particular, a lot of the prospecting work that we've been doing lately, and, you know, it's kind of just like changed the way that I think about my job, because now I'm out here, you know, when I'm meeting people at, you know, events and just over drinks, talking about my company, I see myself slowly like start to like slide in some, you know, some of the sales knowledge, you know, like that's how I
sales talk, marketing talk.
I feel like a full blown BDR, like I got my, you know, button up and everything. But the prospecting work has been super important, especially at our company where we're, you know, a product team selling to other product teams and other customer teams. You know, we're kind of coming from the perspective of the actual persona or buyer that we're targeting. And so it works really well for us to be like speaking directly to those, you know, prospective buyers. Yeah,
because we're having facing the same problems, same trouble, pain points and troubles and challenges like that. So.
Right. And they're like more open to hearing from our perspective than some salesperson who might not have dealt with the same pain points in the past. And so I find that, you know, interestingly enough, like this is where I feel like I'm able to have a greater impact. And that's because, you know, there's only two of us here who are able to do that sort of work. Whereas, you know, we have a whole team of people who are helping us with the product work.
Whole department and everything. Yeah,
exactly.
For sure. Yeah. I think for me, the most impactful thing or most important thing I've done isn't really like related to like one specific like job function or area. It's more about just having like a positive attitude and willingness to do whatever the founders and management team think needs to be done in order to move the company forward. Because like you said, we're wearing a whole bunch of different hats. So if I come in here thinking, oh, I'm a product manager, I only want to do product related stuff, and I start like complaining, like not having a positive attitude, just kind of bringing bad energy to the office, I feel like it kind of distracts everybody from what needs to be done.
Right. Yeah.
And especially being like an earlier career PM, like the founders, like they're a product team within themselves. Like Keith, the CEO, it was a CPO, head of product at a previous company. Jonah, our head designer, and then we have Louise and Jason, who are two engineers. So I feel like whatever, I'm still learning from them and still learning how to do all the product stuff and how to think about how certain features should work and how they operate in general. That I feel like if they say that the most impactful thing to do is, for your example, prospecting this week, then cool, I'm going to do that as best as I can with positive energy. I'm not going to be complaining that I'm not QAing stuff or like going over the designs with Jonah or you, the new stuff. But I think just to me that just having a willingness to do whatever is necessary in order to move the company forward is probably the best thing I've done here.
I agree. Yeah. That's like really important that you have that open-mindedness, especially at the smaller stage companies where you're, really expected to wear all those hats. And without that, everybody's doing that. It's like, our CEO is, also doing, the dirty work, doing demos on a, daily, multiple in a day. And, so everybody kind of getting together under kind of one common goal is clearly because
I feel like being earlier in the career, there's people of our age, like starting out in the workforce, we get so consumed in just trying to be what our title is and try to be the best at that, is that when you're so early in your career, you can learn so much. And like as you move up, all the experience you learn from doing sales, doing marketing stuff, writing blogs, like you can create better like empathy when you're talking with those other people in the different departments as you move up or change companies, and other companies have those different areas of their company. And
it's such a like cross-functional, role. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people say that people coming from engineering are generally the most well-suited for the role, but I don't know if I would even say that that's the case. I think people coming from like customer support or sales even, or account management roles, who have a better understanding of actually working directly with the customers could be more well-suited, actually. I think
I think it goes hand in hand. Like I would say people say that more in general, that engineers going to product roles are more successful because they can understand the pains of like the engineering and kind of relate to them better than like a product person would, just who's solely in product. But like you said, like if you're coming from customer, you know how to deal with people who are customer facing. Because I feel like as a product manager, sometimes you're more behind the scenes, you're not interacting with the customer. And so the people that are customer facing, like when something's wrong with the product, they're having to deal with that in front of the people that pay you.
Right.
And so it's kind of nerve-wracking when you have to like deal with like a problem that's going on in the product, or that they're not satisfied with the current feature or how it was built. Like they have to handle that and kind of internalize it and bring it back to you. So I feel like if you have experience dealing with everybody, it's just super helpful.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever felt like the work that I wanted to do or have done was like ever more impactful because of like for a lack of engineering knowledge. Like I feel like there's that, that's definitely a common misconception that having that technical background is going to make you that much more impactful as a product manager. I think if you're surrounded by the right people, that that's definitely not going to be necessary, and you should probably leave that work to the people who are really designated for that role.
It could end up being not a negative, but it could be end up creating tension with like the engineering team, because you can feel like, oh, they should be done this way, but then they're the ones doing all, like they know more about what's going on in the code than like you as a product person does, because that's their main focus.
Right.
So
So I think that's like goes back to something that Keith is always saying, is that he really likes bringing on earlier career PMs because they don't have to unlearn a lot of bad habits, or he kind of like gets to build them in his own vision to a degree, which for better or for worse, but it can't be so bad so far. I feel like it's been a valuable experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think I have an easy way out of if you don't want to use like having the willingness to do whatever, having a positive attitude, that's my most impactful thing. Like my easy way out is our iOS mobile app. Because when we first started, like I think we just chose like, all right, like I'll just do the iOS stuff for now, and then we'll just however it happens. And then over time, as it started out, like everybody kind of just like forgot, like not forgot, but like it wasn't as high priority in our mind because everything was constantly changing.
Yeah.
I remember like one day we were all just sitting there, and I think we were just like, hey, what's going on with mobile?
Yeah, we got like Andre over there.
Just
working away.
Yeah, and like primarily that's on me because like I was tasked with like being in charge of mobile, and I let it slip through the cracks. And then it took like another thing from Keith, like, all right, Cam, you're gonna be the iOS guy. And so he even told me himself that taking over iOS and making sure that's moving along the path of getting out there in the market was probably is the most impactful thing from him for his experience or his perspective. He said that you're doing. Yeah, he said that about 2 months ago. But I think to me, having the positive attitude is my most impactful thing.
Then you got 2 then.
Yeah. I think I have 1, but one's more Keith inspired. Mine's my own personal take.
Yeah, I mean, without you, we probably wouldn't have a mobile app. So appreciate you taking the lead on that.
I try, man. I try.
Cam is the best at stepping up to the bat to the plate whenever needed. Yeah.
All right, I think that's it for today.
Yeah. This has been an interesting one. I would love to hear your thoughts for you, earlier career PMs. What do you think is the most impactful thing that you've been working on? Let us know if we were on the ball or if you think that there's other ways to look at it. We'd love to hear.
Yeah, and next episode we'll have our first guest.
Yes, sir.
So exciting times ahead.
Yes. Keep it locked.